Ryan stepped off the small wooden cart and stretched, feeling the warmth of the early morning sun on his face. The village ahead was quiet, peaceful, and filled with the soft hum of birds. He had traveled far from the city, drawn by stories of a legendary garden maze that lay at the edge of the village. It was said to be the largest in the region, with paths so twisted and intricate that only those with a careful eye could find their way. But for Ryan, it wasn't the maze's size or fame that drew him, it was the plants, the hidden flowers, and the secrets the garden might hold. The villagers, gentle and kind, had greeted him with cautious smiles. They spoke of the maze as if it were alive, warning him to be careful and to respect the paths. The maze has a mind of its own, one elderly man said. It rewards those who are patient and kind. But it can be tricky for the impatient or careless. Ryan nodded politely, intrigued by the words. He had always loved challenges, and the idea of a living, breathing maze excited him. As he approached the entrance, he stopped to admire the tall, leafy hedges that twisted high into the sky. Sunlight streamed through gaps in the branches, creating dancing patterns on the cobblestone path. The maze seemed endless, a labyrinth of green walls and hidden corners. Ryan felt a shiver of excitement and stepped forward, his heart beating with anticipation. For a while, he wandered along the paths, carefully observing the flowers that grew along the edges. There were delicate roses, bright bluebells, and plants he had never seen before. He paused often to sketch, to take notes, and to breathe in the fresh, fragrant air. The maze was alive with birdsong, the whisper of leaves, and the gentle trickle of water from hidden fountains. Every turn seemed to bring something new, a surprise waiting just beyond the next corner. After an hour of exploring, Ryan paused near a curve in the path. That's when he heard a soft, clear voice singing. The sound was so gentle that at first, he thought it might be a bird. But as he listened more carefully, he realized it was a human voice, singing a melody that seemed to belong to the garden itself. Curiosity tugged at him, and he carefully followed the sound, turning corner after corner. The singing led him deeper into the maze than he had ever gone before. Each turn seemed familiar yet mysterious, as if the garden itself was guiding him. Sunlight filtered through the leaves in golden streams, lighting up patches of flowers along the way. Ryan felt a strange mix of calm and excitement. He had always loved nature, but the maze felt almost magical, as if it held stories waiting to be discovered. Finally, he reached a small clearing, where the singing grew louder. And there she was, a young woman standing among a cluster of bright flowers, her long hair shining in the sun. She noticed Ryan immediately but smiled warmly instead of showing surprise. Her presence was calming, and her eyes sparkled with kindness and curiosity. "Hello," she said gently. "I didn't expect anyone else here." Ryan smiled back, a little nervous but also relieved. "I'm Ryan," he said. "I've come to study the plants here. This maze, it's incredible." The young woman nodded. "I'm Myra. I know this maze very well. Not many people come this far." Her voice was soft but confident, and Ryan felt an unusual warmth in her presence. They talked for a while, Myra showing him a few hidden flowers and small fountains tucked behind the hedges. Ryan listened intently, fascinated by how she seemed to know every secret path. The hours passed quickly, the sunlight slowly fading toward evening. Ryan felt a thrill he hadn't felt in a long time, a mix of wonder, curiosity, and the first stirrings of something deeper he couldn't yet name. As the sky turned pink and gold, Ryan knew he couldn't leave the maze without discovering more. "Will you show me more tomorrow?" he asked, trying to keep his voice casual. Myra smiled, a glimmer of amusement in her eyes. Perhaps. But only if you are ready to listen and observe carefully. The maze has many secrets, and not all of them reveal themselves easily. Ryan nodded, feeling both challenged and excited. He had a feeling this was just the beginning. The maze, the plants, and this mysterious girl had already captured his imagination. And deep inside, he sensed that the adventure he had come for might turn into something even more extraordinary, something that could change his life forever. The next morning, Ryan woke before the sun, filled with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Today, he would return to the maze and meet Myra again. He packed his sketchbook, a small notebook, and some water, then walked briskly toward the entrance. The village was quiet, the streets empty except for a few villagers starting their daily routines. As he reached the maze, Ryan noticed that the morning light made the hedges glow in shades of green and gold. He took a deep breath and stepped inside, letting the sounds of the garden fill him with calm energy. Every path seemed alive, the flowers bending slightly as if greeting him. He wandered slowly, listening for the faint sound of singing that had first drawn him here. After a few minutes, he heard it again, the soft, melodic voice of Myra. Following the sound, he came to a small archway hidden behind tall ferns, and there she was, tending to a cluster of violet flowers. She looked up and smiled when she saw him. "Good morning, Ryan," she said warmly. "I wondered if you would come today." Ryan smiled back, feeling a little shy. "Good morning, Myra. I couldn't wait to see the maze again, and you?" Myra chuckled softly. "Then let us begin our walk. There is much to show, if you are ready to notice the details." They moved slowly through the maze, Myra pointing out flowers and plants Ryan had never seen before. Some had petals that shimmered faintly in the sunlight, others gave off a delicate scent that reminded him of honey and morning dew. Myra explained how each plant grew, which ones liked shade, and which only bloomed at certain times. Ryan listened intently, taking notes and sketching the patterns of leaves and flowers. As they walked, Myra led him to a small, hidden pond surrounded by tall reeds. The water was so clear that Ryan could see the reflection of the sky above. Small fish swam lazily beneath the surface, and dragonflies danced over the water. Ryan knelt by the edge, dipping his fingers into the cool water, and felt a sense of peace he had not felt in a long time. Myra sat beside him, her gaze thoughtful. "The maze has many places like this," she said softly. "It shows its beauty to those who are patient and kind. Those who hurry often miss what is most important." Ryan nodded, realizing that her words applied not only to the maze but to life itself. I think I understand," he said. "It's about noticing the small things, the quiet moments, not just the big picture." Myra smiled, her eyes bright. "Exactly. And sometimes, those small moments lead to the greatest discoveries." They spent the day exploring secret paths, small alcoves filled with rare flowers, and hidden fountains trickling with clear water. Myra seemed to know every turn, every hidden passage, and Ryan followed her willingly, trusting her guidance. Along the way, they talked about their dreams. Myra spoke of wanting to protect the maze and learn all its secrets, while Ryan shared his passion for discovering new plants and understanding their stories. As the afternoon sun began to lower, they reached a part of the maze that seemed different. The hedges were taller, the paths narrower, and the air carried a faint, sweet fragrance. Myra paused and looked at Ryan seriously. "This is one of the maze's hidden corners," she said. "Not many people come here. It is quiet, but it also requires trust. Can you follow me?" Ryan nodded. He had come this far and felt a growing bond with Myra, a connection he could not yet explain. Together, they moved forward, twisting through the narrow paths until they reached a small clearing. Sunlight poured through a gap in the trees, illuminating a patch of flowers unlike any Ryan had seen. Their petals glimmered faintly, and the air around them seemed to shimmer with life. Ryan knelt to examine the flowers, amazed. They are beautiful. I've never seen anything like this. Myra watched him with a soft smile. The maze chooses who sees its secrets, she said. Those who are kind, patient, and respectful often find places like this. Ryan felt a warm glow inside him. It wasn't just the beauty of the flowers, it was the joy of sharing this moment with Myra. He realized that he was beginning to care for her, more than he had expected. Her kindness, her knowledge, and the gentle way she moved through the maze had captured his attention and his heart. As the sun dipped lower, they sat together in the clearing, the silence between them comfortable and peaceful. Ryan knew that he wanted to spend more time with Myra, learning from her and sharing in the magic of the maze. And deep inside, he felt the first spark of something more, a quiet, growing feeling that perhaps this mysterious garden held not only secrets of nature but also the beginnings of love. The next morning, Ryan woke with the memory of yesterday's hidden clearing still fresh in his mind. He had never felt such calm and wonder in one place. He dressed quickly, eager to return to the maze. The sun was soft, the air cool and fragrant, and even the village seemed to hum with life as he walked past the cobblestone streets toward the green walls that awaited him. As he entered the maze, the familiar sounds of rustling leaves and birdsong welcomed him. He moved carefully, noticing the small flowers along the paths and the way the sunlight dappled the ground. Today, he felt a deeper connection with the garden. It was as if each turn, each path, had a purpose, and he was learning to see the maze not just as a challenge but as a living, breathing place. He soon heard the soft sound of singing. Myra was ahead, kneeling among a patch of bluebells, her hands gently touching the delicate petals. She looked up and smiled when she saw him. "Good morning, Ryan," she said softly. "I thought you might come." Ryan smiled back, a little breathless from excitement. "I couldn't wait," he said. "I want to see more of the maze today." Myra nodded, standing and brushing her hands on her dress. "Then follow me. There is a place I want to show you. It is very special." They walked together, Myra leading him along twisting paths, past high hedges and small fountains. Ryan noticed things he had never seen before: tiny flowers tucked in the corners of the paths, hidden carvings on the wooden benches, and sunlight glinting off drops of dew like tiny diamonds. Each discovery made his heart beat faster, but not from fear, from pure joy. Finally, Myra stopped before a narrow, vine-covered archway. She pushed aside the leaves, revealing a path that seemed untouched by time. The air was cooler here, and the scent of jasmine and roses filled the space. Ryan followed her through the arch, and the path opened into a hidden clearing. The clearing was small but perfect, almost magical. Sunlight poured through gaps in the trees, making the flowers glow softly. A small fountain bubbled in the center, surrounded by ferns and moss-covered stones. Birds chirped as if welcoming them, and a gentle breeze moved through the leaves, carrying the sweet fragrance of the garden. Ryan's eyes widened. This is amazing," he whispered. Myra smiled, watching him carefully. "This is my special place," she said. "Few people have ever found it. The maze allows only those who are patient, kind, and honest to see it." Ryan felt a warmth spread through his chest. He understood now why he had been drawn to the maze, not just for the plants or the paths, but for this sense of wonder and connection. I feel like this place is alive," he said softly. Myra nodded. It is. The maze responds to those who are genuine. It reveals itself slowly, showing beauty and secrets to those who notice. They spent the afternoon in the clearing, walking carefully among the flowers, observing the tiny insects that moved from petal to petal, and listening to the quiet gurgle of the fountain. Ryan sketched the flowers, noting the colors and shapes, while Myra shared her knowledge about each plant, explaining which were rare and which had special properties. As they sat on a mossy stone near the fountain, Ryan found himself watching Myra more than the flowers. Her eyes shone with curiosity and joy, and her smile seemed to make the entire clearing brighter. He felt a gentle affection for her, a feeling that surprised him but made him happy. Myra noticed his gaze and chuckled softly. "You seem very interested in the maze," she said, teasing but kind. Ryan smiled, feeling a little embarrassed. I am. But I'm also interested in learning from you. You know this place better than anyone." Myra's expression softened. "I have spent my life here. I have learned the maze's ways and listened to its stories. But it always feels special to share it with someone who appreciates it as much as you do." They sat together in silence for a while, simply enjoying the peace of the clearing. Ryan felt a sense of belonging he had never known before. The garden, the maze, and Myra herself had created a moment of quiet wonder that he wished could last forever. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, Myra stood and brushed her hands on her dress. "It's time to leave soon, Ryan. But remember, the maze will always be here for those who seek it with an open heart." Ryan nodded, feeling a promise in her words. "I will come back," he said. "And I hope to discover more, not just of the maze, but of this place, with you." Myra smiled, a gentle glow in her eyes. "Then we shall explore together," she said. As they walked back through the twisting paths, Ryan felt the first stirring of something more than friendship, a quiet, tender connection he could not yet name. The maze had shared its first secret, and he knew there were many more waiting, both in the garden and in the heart of the girl who had shown him its wonders. The next day, Ryan felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Myra had told him so much about the maze, and he had learned its hidden corners and secret paths. But today, he decided he wanted to explore alone. He felt ready to see if he could navigate the maze by himself, relying on what Myra had taught him. He stepped into the maze early in the morning. The hedges glowed softly in the light, and the familiar songs of birds made him feel calm. Ryan moved carefully, noting the details Myra had pointed out: the shapes of the stones, the small carvings on benches, the patterns of flowers that hinted at hidden paths. For a while, everything went smoothly. He recognized familiar turns and paths, and a feeling of pride warmed him. But as he moved deeper into the maze, the path seemed to shift. A corner he thought he knew led to a new tunnel lined with roses he hadn't seen before. The sunlight shifted as he walked, creating shadows that made it hard to judge where to turn. Ryan's heart began to beat faster. He realized that the maze, in its quiet way, was testing him. He paused and remembered Myra's words: "Trust your intuition. Notice the small details. The maze will guide those who pay attention." Taking a deep breath, he looked around carefully. He noticed a series of small stones along the edge of the path, almost hidden in the grass. They seemed to point the way forward. Following them slowly, he felt a sense of calm return. As he turned another corner, he encountered a narrow path lined with lavender. The scent was strong and calming, but the path seemed endless. He walked carefully, watching the light and the flowers, trying to remember Myra's advice. Every time he doubted himself, he paused, breathed, and looked for the tiny signs the maze might offer. Hours passed, and Ryan realized he had gone farther than he had ever gone before. The maze felt alive, almost as if it were responding to his determination. At one point, he stumbled upon a small fountain hidden behind ivy. He knelt and ran his fingers through the water, feeling its coolness and letting the calm flow through him. It reminded him of the clearing Myra had shown him, the secret place full of beauty and peace. Yet, the maze was not done testing him. Soon, he came to a fork in the path. Both directions seemed equally promising, but he could not remember which way Myra had suggested. Doubt crept in. Ryan sat on a low stone wall, closed his eyes, and tried to calm his mind. Slowly, he realized that rushing would only make him more lost. He needed patience, observation, and trust in himself. He stood, choosing the path that felt right, paying attention to the subtle signs, the bend of a branch, a flower growing at a specific angle, the way sunlight fell on the stones. Step by step, he moved forward, feeling a quiet confidence grow inside him. The maze was challenging, but it was also teaching him something important: to be patient, to trust his senses, and to believe in his own judgment. Finally, after a long walk filled with twists and turns, Ryan recognized a familiar patch of ferns. He followed them and emerged into a small clearing where the sunlight shone golden on the flowers. He laughed softly, both from relief and joy. He had done it. He had navigated the maze alone. Just then, a soft voice came from behind him. "Well done, Ryan," Myra said, stepping into the clearing with her usual gentle smile. "I see the maze has taught you well. You trusted yourself and observed carefully. That is how it rewards those who try with patience and kindness." Ryan turned to her, feeling proud and happy. "I did it. And I remembered everything you taught me. I think I understand the maze a little better now." Myra nodded, her eyes sparkling. "You have grown today, not just in skill, but in understanding. The maze is more than paths and plants. It teaches patience, care, and observation. And you have shown all of these." Ryan felt a warmth in his chest. He realized that the maze had given him more than a challenge. It had given him confidence, and it had made him value Myra's guidance even more. He looked at her, feeling something he could not yet fully name, but knew was important. Her presence, her kindness, and the gentle way she shared the secrets of the maze had left a mark on his heart. As the sun began to lower in the sky, they walked together back toward the familiar paths. Ryan felt a quiet joy, not just in completing the maze on his own, but in the bond that was growing between him and Myra. He knew that the maze had more secrets to reveal, and he was eager to discover them together. The next morning, Ryan felt a strong excitement as he approached the garden maze. Each day spent here brought new surprises and discoveries, and today, he felt ready to explore even more deeply. Myra had promised to show him some paths he had never seen before, and he was eager to learn and share in the maze's secrets. When he reached the entrance, Myra was already waiting. Her hair caught the sunlight, and her eyes sparkled with a quiet warmth. "Good morning, Ryan," she said softly. "Are you ready for today's adventure?" "I am," Ryan replied with a bright smile. "I want to see everything you can show me." Together, they walked along the twisting paths. Myra pointed out hidden flowers peeking from the edges of the hedges and small carvings on wooden benches that told stories of people who had visited the maze long ago. Ryan took careful notes, sketching the flowers and fountains, but his attention often wandered to Myra. He admired how gently she moved, how patiently she explained each detail, and the way her laughter seemed to make the entire garden brighter. As they ventured deeper, Myra led him to a part of the maze filled with low, flowering bushes that formed natural tunnels. The air was fragrant with roses and jasmine, and the sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating patterns of light and shadow on the ground. Ryan felt a sense of wonder he had never experienced before. "This part is tricky," Myra explained. "The paths change with the seasons, and the maze sometimes tests those who walk here. You must watch carefully, listen, and notice small details." Ryan nodded, feeling a thrill. He had learned from his previous challenge how much patience and observation mattered. Together, they moved slowly, examining the paths, noticing tiny markings, and following subtle signs that seemed almost invisible to the untrained eye. After some time, they came across a small fountain hidden behind a thick wall of ivy. The water was crystal clear, and tiny fish swam lazily beneath the surface. Ryan knelt to touch the water, feeling its coolness on his fingers. Myra sat beside him, her expression thoughtful. "The maze is full of small wonders," she said softly. "Sometimes, the beauty is not in the big discoveries, but in noticing the little things that others might miss." Ryan smiled. "I think I understand that now. Each flower, each path, each fountain, it all tells a story if you look closely." They continued walking, and as the day passed, they shared more about themselves. Myra spoke about her love for the garden, how she had spent her life learning its secrets, and how the maze had always been a place of comfort and learning for her. Ryan shared stories of his travels, the plants he had studied, and his dreams of discovering new species and understanding the mysteries of nature. With each story, they grew closer. They laughed together when Ryan accidentally tripped over a hidden root, and Myra showed him a secret way to balance on stepping stones across a small stream. Their shared moments in the maze were simple but filled with joy, trust, and a growing affection that neither could fully explain yet. As the sun began to lower, they reached a quiet clearing surrounded by tall flowers. The golden light made the petals glow, and the gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of roses. Ryan and Myra sat on the grass, their shoulders nearly touching, enjoying the peaceful moment. "You have grown so much since you first came here," Myra said softly. "Not just in understanding the maze, but in how you see and appreciate the world around you." Ryan felt warmth in his chest. "I think it's because of you," he replied. "You've shown me things I never noticed before, not just in the maze, but in life too." Myra smiled, a soft blush on her cheeks. "Then I am glad. The maze brings people together in ways they might not expect. And sometimes, it helps them see what is most important." Ryan looked at her, feeling a quiet, tender emotion he had not felt before. He realized that his time in the maze was more than just learning about plants and paths. It was about sharing moments with Myra, understanding her world, and discovering a connection that felt rare and precious. As the evening approached, they reluctantly stood and began walking back through the winding paths. Ryan felt a sense of contentment and excitement at the same time. There were still many secrets in the maze to uncover, many paths to explore, and he knew that each new day would bring him closer to understanding not only the garden but also the girl who had become his companion in this magical place. The morning sun bathed the maze in a soft golden light as Ryan approached the entrance. Today felt different. He could sense it before he even entered. Myra was already there, waiting with her usual gentle smile. Her presence made the garden feel even more alive, and Ryan felt a flutter of excitement as he stepped inside. "Good morning, Ryan," Myra said softly. Are you ready for today's discovery? I am, he replied, trying to hide the nervous excitement in his voice. What will we see today? Myra's eyes twinkled with a quiet secret. Something very special, she said, motioning for him to follow. Together, they moved along the twisting paths, past familiar corners and hidden flowers, until they reached a part of the maze Ryan had never seen before. The hedges were taller here, the paths narrower, and a soft breeze carried the scent of unknown blooms. This is one of the maze's oldest sections, Myra explained. It holds stories from generations past. Few people ever come here, and even fewer understand what it tries to teach. Ryan listened intently, feeling a mix of curiosity and awe. He had grown so much since he first entered the maze. He had learned patience, observation, and the quiet joy of discovery. But today, he sensed that something deeper awaited him. Myra led him to a small, hidden clearing, unlike any he had seen before. Sunlight streamed through the trees, creating a gentle glow that lit up a carpet of delicate flowers. In the center was a small, sparkling fountain, the water singing softly as it flowed. The air seemed to shimmer, as if the entire space were alive with magic. This is my special place, Myra said softly, her eyes meeting Ryan's. I have visited here since I was a child. I come to learn, to reflect, and to feel connected to the maze. It listens to those who care for it, just as it watches those who walk its paths. Ryan felt a quiet wonder in his chest. It's beautiful, he whispered. I've never seen anything like this. Myra nodded. It is more than beauty. It is a place of understanding. The maze shows its true self only to those who are honest, kind, and patient. And it has shown you many things, Ryan. You have grown not just in skill, but in heart. Ryan felt a warmth he could not explain. I think I understand, Myra. The maze is teaching me, but, so are you. You've helped me see things I never noticed before, not just here, but in life too. Myra smiled, a soft blush coloring her cheeks. Then perhaps it is time for a truth, she said, her voice gentle but serious. There is something I have not told you. The maze, it responds to love and friendship. It senses those who care deeply, who are honest in heart. That is why it shows its secrets, its hidden corners, and its beauty. Ryan's eyes widened. It can do that. Yes, Myra replied softly. The maze grows with those who enter it. It listens to laughter, feels patience, and recognizes kindness. Those who walk here with sincerity often find more than just paths. They find connections, memories, and even feelings they did not expect. Ryan looked at Myra, realizing slowly what she meant. His heart beat faster. He had felt a connection with her from the first day, a bond that grew stronger with each shared moment. Sitting here in this glowing clearing, he understood that his feelings were no longer just admiration or friendship. They were something deeper, something tender and true. Myra reached out, touching a delicate flower beside the fountain. The maze has guided us to this place because it sensed our hearts, she said softly. And perhaps, it hoped we would see what we feel for each other. Ryan swallowed, feeling both nervous and happy. He met her gaze, seeing the same quiet warmth reflected in her eyes. I think I feel the same, he said honestly. Being here with you, it feels right. I care for you, Myra. More than I expected. Myra's smile grew, and she reached out, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Then perhaps the maze has chosen well, she said softly. It seems it knew what we needed before we even did. They sat together in the glowing clearing, the gentle sound of the fountain surrounding them. The moment was simple, quiet, and filled with a peaceful happiness neither had known before. Ryan realized that the maze had given him more than secrets of flowers and paths. It had led him to Myra, to a connection that felt gentle, tender, and true. As the sun began to lower, casting a golden glow over the clearing, Ryan and Myra stood and began walking back through the winding paths. Their steps were slow, careful, and in harmony, each enjoying the quiet closeness. The maze had revealed its secret, and in return, it had given them something priceless: a shared understanding, a quiet love, and the promise of many more discoveries together. The morning sun painted the garden maze in soft shades of gold and green. Ryan felt a quiet excitement as he walked through the familiar paths. Today was not about discovering new corners of the maze, but about sharing it fully with Myra, and enjoying the connection that had grown between them over the past days. Myra was waiting near the entrance, her hair catching the sunlight and her eyes sparkling with a gentle warmth. "Good morning, Ryan," she said softly. "Are you ready for today's walk?" "I am," he replied, smiling. "I want to see the maze with you, and everything it has to show us together." They entered the maze side by side, moving through the twisting paths and familiar corners. Each turn brought a memory of the first day Ryan had arrived, the hidden fountain, the secret clearing, and the quiet moments they had shared. The maze felt alive around them, as if it recognized their presence and welcomed them once more. As they walked, they noticed new things: tiny flowers growing in unlikely places, patterns of light on the hedges, and the gentle sound of water trickling from hidden streams. Myra showed Ryan small details he had missed before, and he shared his own observations. Together, they explored the maze not as student and teacher, but as companions, discovering its secrets with laughter and joy. They paused in the secret clearing, the place where their connection had first deepened. Sunlight poured through the trees, casting a golden glow on the flowers and the sparkling fountain. Ryan looked around, feeling a sense of peace and happiness. "I love this place," he said softly. "It's more than just a maze. It feels like a part of us now." Myra smiled, a soft blush on her cheeks. "It has always been special, but it becomes even more meaningful when shared. I'm glad we found it together." They spent hours in the clearing, talking about dreams and hopes for the future. Ryan shared ideas for studying new plants and traveling to faraway places, while Myra spoke of her desire to protect the maze and help others understand its beauty. They laughed, imagined, and dreamed together, each moment deepening the quiet bond between them. As the afternoon sun lowered, Myra led Ryan along a hidden path lined with tall, fragrant flowers. "There are still secrets the maze has to show," she said softly. "Some of them are physical, some are about understanding life, friendship, and care. You have learned many lessons already, Ryan, and the maze continues to grow with you." Ryan nodded, feeling the truth of her words. He realized that the maze had been more than a place of discovery. It had been a teacher, a guide, and a space that had allowed him to connect with someone special. Myra's kindness, her knowledge, and her gentle heart had become a part of his own life, and he treasured every moment. Eventually, they reached a part of the maze that neither had explored before. A small clearing opened before them, filled with soft sunlight and a gentle breeze that moved the flowers like a whisper. Ryan knelt to examine a patch of tiny blossoms, and Myra watched him with a quiet smile. "You see," she said softly, "the maze always has more to show those who are patient, kind, and open-hearted. Every day is a new discovery, even when you think you know it all." Ryan looked at her, feeling a quiet certainty in his chest. "I think I understand now." The maze gave me more than plants or paths, it gave me you, Myra. And that is the most important discovery of all. Myra's eyes glimmered, and she reached out, gently brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Then perhaps the maze has done exactly what it was meant to do, she said softly. It brought us together, and showed us the joy of friendship, care, and something more. They sat together in the clearing, their shoulders nearly touching, feeling the calm of the garden and the magic of the moment. The maze around them seemed to glow softly, as if celebrating the connection that had grown here. Ryan felt a quiet happiness, a sense of belonging, and a deep affection for Myra that filled him completely. As the sun began to set, casting golden light across the paths, they walked back toward the entrance, side by side. Their steps were slow and peaceful, each enjoying the quiet closeness, the gentle conversation, and the beauty of the maze that had brought them together. When they finally reached the edge of the garden, Ryan turned to Myra and smiled. "I think the maze will always be a part of us now," he said. Myra nodded, her eyes soft with warmth. "Yes, and so will our memories. The maze shares its secrets, but it also shares what matters most: friendship, trust, and the quiet joy of being together." Ryan took a deep breath, feeling the happiness of the day, the connection he had found, and the promise of all the days yet to come. The maze had given him its secrets, and in return, it had given him something priceless: a gentle love, a loyal companion, and the knowledge that some discoveries in life are far more meaningful than any path or flower. And so, hand in hand, Ryan and Myra left the garden maze, carrying its magic with them, knowing that this was only the beginning of their journey together, one filled with trust, care, and the quiet, wonderful joy of shared discovery.